This is Russ. Yeah, I'm back in the car again. Headed out of Costco. As I usually am. Well, okay, I could be headed towards Costco. One of the two. Yeah, it seems to be my daily routine, huh? Yep. You guys keep me company, like I always say. Let's make this turn first, then we'll talk a little bit. Sometimes you have to have a little concentration, right? Nope. This guy's letting me go, so we will go. When everyone stops and nobody knows what to do, and then one guy finally gives you the little signal, you got to take it. Then you got to go. Let's turn this one too. You know, when it's concentrated with a lot of cars, you got to pay a little more attention. You can't be thinking about what you want to talk about. Yeah, there's always a potential issue, right? Let's talk about smartwatches. Yeah, this is one of my review watches. It was the second review watch that I did. And yeah, it's actually pretty good. It was the one I was wearing when I fell in California off the e-trike. Remember that? Yeah, I kind of scratched it up a little bit. Because I fell into the dirt. Could have fell all the way down the hill, right? Yeah, if you haven't seen that video, maybe I'll remember to link it. Then you can see how I almost killed myself out in California. It was a close call. Anyway, yeah, I decided to wear this watch. I haven't worn it in a while, really. It's a pretty decent watch. It's, I think it was at the time $79.99. I don't know what it is now, but that's what it was when I made the review. Yeah, it was the second watch that was offered to me. And then after I fell, shortly after I fell, a third watch was offered to me. It was kind of a sister company of this watch. Yeah. So the person said, you know, would you be interested in another watch from one of our sister companies? I go, sure. So so they had it sent out to me. And then I never heard from her ever again. She must have quit the company or something. I don't know. I contacted her many times, tried to contact her many times. And yeah, no response. So I finished the review of that third watch, but I needed the approval before I uploaded it to release it. Because first off, at this point, I don't have a contact person for that company anymore because they never reassigned it to somebody else, because I never hear from that company again. So I don't hear anything from this company or that third company because I don't think they know I exist. I think maybe the only person that knows I exist was that representative. And had she left the company, maybe she didn't leave a file of who she sent samples to. And interestingly, that third watch, I think it might even be better than this one. Yeah, the price difference was only like a $10 difference, I think. It wasn't that much more expensive. It was a little more expensive than this one, but basically, the main difference that I see with that one versus this one is this one here actually has a ECG function. The other one, I don't believe it has it, but it does other things a little bit better too. So, you know, these watches, some of them are good for this and some of them are good for that, right? The most recent watch I did was actually from the company from the first watch. The first watch is made by a company called, what is that? Kospet, Kospet. Is a round face one. The new one is that rectangular one that has orange buttons that you always see me wearing here. Of them all, I think that is my favorite one. Okay, but I decided let me try wearing these other ones too, because I do have them. And but I actually like them all. But I think the Kospet, I think that's the M3 or M3 Ultra, Tank Ultra M3. Or is that M3 Series 2? I have no idea. Something like that, whatever it happens to be. What the current version of the rectangular version of the Tank series is. And I always forget the names of these models. So I think that's my favorite one because it does everything pretty much perfectly. Yeah. Here's what I use my watches for. Okay, although they do a lot of things like health functions, like blood pressure, blood rate, sleep functions and all that stuff. None of them are perfect, okay? And some of them are a little iffy even on some of the functions, right? Here's what I use it for. I use it for steps, okay? But I also have my ultra-human ring, right? I use that all the time because that's always on me. So sometimes I compare the steps of that compared to the steps from the watch compared to the ring. And sometimes it's right on the money. The one with the orange buttons, the one from Cospet, and this is almost identical. I mean, literally, if I look at the end of the day, how many steps did I do? They're almost identical. So it kind of tells me that probably this and that watch is pretty accurate for them to be that close. I mean, we're probably within 200 or 300 steps of each other. And in general, if you know anything about the step, that's like nothing, right? That's pretty close, okay? Heart rate is typically pretty close on most of these watches. Yeah, they'll match up pretty well. So, and then when I take it off of my regular blood pressure cuff and stuff, it's pretty close. So I trust the heart rate functions. It's just counting the beats, right? The CKG functions are usually pretty good on these watches too. It's basically show you a graph of your heart beating. Those are pretty good, actually. So I trust those. Here's what I don't trust. I don't trust glucose readings, okay? Because I have a watch, maybe two of the watches have glucose functions. I don't trust that at all, okay? Blood pressure, I don't really trust that either, because they usually tell me that I'm doing pretty good on the blood pressure, but I know my blood pressure is higher than that. So I don't trust that, okay? So what do you use the watch for? Well, here's what I'd use it for. Notifications. The number one thing I want it for is for notifications, okay? Because if I'm doing stuff in my watch and my phone is in my pocket or something, and I don't want to pull it out to look at whatever text messages came in or anything, the watch will tell me what the text message is. Yeah, I can't send a message from it, but I can read the messages that come in. And if I decide I need to respond to that thing, then I will pull the phone out and respond at that point, right? So anyway, I use it for time, of course, okay? So I think the three biggest thing would be the time, the notifications, and to keep track of my steps. Everything else is just extra stuff in my mind. Nice that it has it, but if it doesn't have it, I'm okay with that. Because a lot of other things are also on my ring, I don't trust the sleep functions on most of the watches, although one of them is very close. Yeah, and that would be the one with the orange buttons. Yeah, the most recent one, the Cospet M2. Is that what it is? The rectangular one. Pretty close. Yeah, not perfect, but pretty close to what the ultra-human ring tells me. And I trust the ring because it's pretty accurate in general. So so certain things I trust, certain things I don't trust, certain things I use it for, certain things that I don't care less if it had it or it didn't have it. Okay, so if you're looking for a smartwatch, here's what I would say you do. Think about what do you really need it for. Okay, now the one thing I wish it had that they don't have is what Apple has on their watch, which is if you fall, it'll call an emergency number for you. If you don't respond back and turn off that emergency SOS call, it'll call automatically saying, hey, you've fallen. So it's a good thing to have. I wish these watches had it, but it's on the Apple Watch, but it's not on this one. But the Apple Watch is a lot more money, and I don't have a free one. I only have the ones that are given to me for review, so I just use those, okay? But I see the value in that. Something happened to you, it would know, and then it'll send for help. That's kind of an important feature. Now these watches I have does have a thing that says SOS. What it'll do is if you have a problem on some of them, if you fall or something like that, if it senses something, it may ask you, do you want to make the call? But most of them basically just say, it's a phone number sitting there that you have to initiate the call, say I need help. But let's say you're incapacitated, you can't initiate the call. You see the problem? So sometimes when you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more, right? But if that function's not a real big deal for you, these basic smartwatches actually do a pretty good job overall. So I'm happy with it. Certain features you wish they have this, they wish they have that, but you pay for those things. So, but the notifications is the big thing. So what kind of notifications do I get? Well, text messages, first off. That's real important. Whenever you guys make a comment on my YouTube channel, in one of the videos, it'll send me the message that you made a comment, right? So there's things like that. Any other things that your phone typically will send you a notification to, a good chances are it will send it also to the watch. All right, so think of it that way. All right, and then they have other notification things like WeChat and all that. I don't use any of that kind of stuff, but if you did, or messages from where else? LinkedIn, I think one of them has. What is it? The former Twitter, what's it called now? X. If you have things linked to the X thing, it'll tell you. So there's a lot of things that it'll connect to, for notifications. So those are the main things. That's the main reason why I wear the watch. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing a watch if I didn't need access to that stuff. What it does is it gives it a little vibration on your watch so that you kind of feel it. So when you feel it, then I can know to look down and look to see what the notification is, right? But of course, your phone will ding as well, so you kind of know. Or your phone is on vibrate, you'll know. If it's in your pocket, you'll know, and then you just look at the watch. So it's the convenience more than anything, right? But prior to these smartwatches, I hadn't worn a watch in a long, long time. Ever since I got a cell phone, I stopped wearing watches. I figured, why do I need to wear a watch? I can just look at the phone. But there is a hassle to have to pull the phone out of your pocket all the time to check it. The one thing that I did like about it, though, is that I would never get a suntan issue on your wrist, because you got to watch in the way you have a lighter color skin underneath there. So if I start wearing all the watches all the time, I will end up with that little tanning issue. But sometimes I wear my watch, sometimes I don't, right? And I don't wear it 24 hours a day. If I'm going out, I put the watch on. If I'm at home, I usually don't wear the watch. Yeah. And I will tell you that maybe the new iWatches can do this, but I will tell you that these watches that I have over the iWatch have a lot longer battery life. I don't know why they last a lot longer than the iWatch, but many people have told me that their iWatch, they're charging every single day. I don't have to do that. I can do 4 or 5 days on some of them and not charge it. So, but it depends on how you use it. I mean, if you have this thing monitoring you for everything, like monitor your blood pressure, monitor this and that, and you have it monitor every 30 minutes, then it's going to eat up your battery, of course. So you have to decide, how do you use it. I don't turn a lot of that stuff on. I did for a short time during the review process, but I found, I don't really look at that stuff that much anyway, so I just turn it off, and that gives me a longer battery life, right? Usually, though, I still plug in the watch for charging. All I do is I just connect it to either my phone, or I connect it to my laptop, through the USB port, and it'll charge my watch, and it charges pretty quick. So the long battery life is nice, but not necessary. But at least you don't have to do it daily if you don't want to. I can skip 3, 4, or 5 days if I wanted to, and I'm perfectly fine with the watch. But again, like I said, I don't have it on all the time. I will turn it off. If I turn it off, I usually plug it in and let it charge a little bit, so I don't have to worry about it. So the ring, the Ultra Human ring, I charge every 3 or 4 days, because after 3 or 4 days, it'll typically say, hey, you're down to 25%. Better charge it. So then I'll charge it up, and it doesn't take that long. I mean, it's a smaller. How big is the battery on this ring? I mean, come on, think about it. So it usually charges up in, I think, less than an hour, actually. So, all right. Anyways, that's about all I have for you guys for today. Just talking a little bit about watches, and since I decided to wear something different today compared to other days. Hey, if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you have a smartwatch, if you have the iWatch, or if you're thinking about getting an inexpensive one. You know, these smartwatches are relatively inexpensive now. You can get them for under $100. So if you're interested in any of these ones that I have, I'll put some links in the description. There are links to the Russ's Right channel's reviews, and then if you look in the review of that watch, there'll be a link of how to get the watch on that video. Okay? All right. Talk to you guys next time.